Hello and welcome to the Ham Radio Guy podcast. I'm Marvin and my call sign is W0MET. Whether you're an experienced ham or just getting started, this podcast is for you. We're bringing you the latest of topics of news, information, and all things amateur radio. Each episode right here to this show. This is episode number 46. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Well, today we're going to be talking about memberships. This is not an all-inclusive list, but as you start to see joining a local club, the ARRL, a national organization like AMSAT or something, that it really all starts to add up to some type of cost on top of your already purchased equipment. We'll see what it really does add up to when I could look at my list and what it costs me per year for the different various memberships that I have joined myself. Don't forget to go out and subscribe to my newsletter. You can always find it in the show notes. Appreciate you signing up for that. And I'll be sending out something here before the end of the year. For another year-end newsletter, kind of a summary of what's all happened this year and some things that are coming new for the show here in 2025. Well, the Ham Radio Guy podcast is sponsored by Dakota Lithium. We can't forget our sponsor. We do appreciate that. If you're looking for the perfect gift for the ham in your life or yourself this holiday season, power up your adventures with Dakota Lithium batteries. Whether you're gearing up for Winter Field Day, planning your first POTA activation, or simply preparing for those unpredictable winter power outages, say that multiple times fast, with those Dakota Lithium batteries, iron phosphate batteries, they are a game changer. Why do I use Dakota Lithium? Unbeatable performance, high energy density, and long cycle life to keep you powered up for longer. They're built to last, designed to withstand extreme conditions, and they're tough as your spirit. They come in a variety of sizes and capacities to suit every need, from camping to off-grid living. Start off the new year with a battery you can count on, and upgrade today and experience the difference Dakota Lithium can make for you and your gear and your peace of mind. I think I've shared this on the show before, but I really dropped this battery. I've had it out in the rain, and it is still tough as nails, and they're still working just fine. Save 5% when you use my link in the show notes, Ham Radio Guide, and make this holiday season electrifying, literally. So power up your holiday. Maybe power some holiday lights or something with it. So if you're loving the content of the show and you really want to help keep the signal strong, join me on Patreon and become a part of the team that powers the Ham Radio Guide. You can join from 3 levels to choose from: Technician, General, or Extra. Just $2 a month to show your support and help the channel grow. Or step up your support and enjoy more engagement with General Extra by unlocking exclusive benefits, behind-the-scenes content, and more. Of course, you can always find me over on patreon.com and join at the extra level before December 6th and get 73% off your first month. Now, that's a deal worth calling CQ about. Every membership level makes a difference, helping me bring you more great content, gear reviews and tutorials, and ham radio inspiration. Sign up again over at patreon.com/the Ham Radio Guy. And thank you for supporting the channel and the ham radio community. And I hope to hear you on the air. So if you hear me on there, give me a shout out. Appreciate it always. And thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate what you've grown and helped me grow in 2024 here. And we'll be talking more about that a little bit later. But I do appreciate it. Well, with that, let's get into a little bit of the news here and see what's happening. The 25th Annual Skywarn Recognition Day is set for December 7th, 2024. The National Weather Service and amateur radio operators across the United States are gearing up for the 25th Annual Skywarn Recognition Day on Saturday, December 7th, 2024. That's this coming weekend. This special event celebrates the vital partnership between the National Weather Service and the volunteer storm spotters who play a crucial role in monitoring and reporting severe weather conditions. Skywarn Recognition Day was established in 1999 to honor these dedicated individuals, many of whom are amateur radio operators. The event also highlights the importance of real-time communication, ensuring public safety during severe weather events. Amateur radio stations will operate from the National Weather Service offices nationwide, connecting with other ham radio operators to exchange information, share experiences, and foster camaraderie. Operators will be on the airwaves for 24 hours using a variety of modes, including voice, digital, and Morse code. Participation in severe or SRD is open to all, whether through operating a ham radio station or by visiting the National Weather Service office hosting an event. For those without a license, many stations offer opportunities to observe or even operate under supervision. This year's milestone, the 25th anniversary, promises to be a special occasion reflecting on decades of collaboration and life-saving efforts. For more information on Skywarn Recognition Day 2024 and how to participate, visit the Skywarn website. In our second news story, I'm really looking forward to this one. I've made a contact with Hawaii, I believe, via FT8, but I'm looking to do this via voice, hopefully. Amateur radio operators worldwide will have a unique opportunity to connect with Hawaii and honor history during the Pearl Harbor Day commemoration hosted by the Amateur Radio Club of the National Electronics Museum, or ARCNM. Special event station W2W will be active from December 1st through December 11th, 2024, operating daily between 1300 Zulu and 2200 Zulu. This special event commemorates the 83rd anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, offering a meaningful way to engage with history and connect with fellow operators. Primary operations will run from December 1st through December 7th, with additional activity from December 8th to the 11th as operator availability permits. W2W will focus on the following frequencies: 20 meters, 14.241, 40 meters, 7.241, 80 meters, possible, on 3.841. Depending on the conditions, digital modes may also be used during the event. Participants can request a commemorative certificate and a QSL card to make the occasion. This event is an excellent chance for those seeking Hawaii in their logbooks and for everyone to remember the significance of December 7th, 1941. Don't miss this chance to honor history and make meaningful QSOs. Keep an ear on the airwaves and join the commemoration. All news is sourced from the ARRL, AR Newsline, POTA, and other sources from around the country. Amateur radio news with a release date of November 8th, 2024. Well, with that, let's get into a little bit of the Ham Radio Guy Joke of the Week. It's now time for the Ham Radio Guy Joke of the Week, where Rick tells us the joke. The Ham Radio Guy Joke of the Week is brought to you by Ham Radio Prep. Now here is Rick Garrett, N9 GSU, with today's Ham Radio Guy Joke of the Week.
I have fallen in love with Parks on the Air. It's become one of my favorite ham radio activities. I love going out setting up in the park, but sometimes when I'm setting up antennas or stringing wire in the trees, it brings a lot of attention. So now I've solved that problem. When I go do an activation, I only wear a striped shirt, so I won't be spotted.
This has been the Ham Radio Guy Joke of the Week with Rick Garrett, N9 GSU. Turn in next week for another joke from Rick. Folks, I truly hope you do enjoy the Ham Radio Guy Joke of the Week. I know they're pretty corny, and Rick does a great job for me in producing those. If you know me personally, it's one of those things where I really enjoy a good dad joke and puns. And it's maybe a little bit of a dry humor sometimes, but I hope you do really enjoy that segment and you find those humorous. I always do. I love listening to those when Rick gets those over to me. And I hope you enjoy them too. So thank you for listening to those and putting up with them, if nothing else, for the about a minute there of my podcast. So thank you again. Well, if you have any questions or comments, always reach out to me at W0MET at thehamradioguy.com. It's the easiest way to get hold of me, or make a comment over on Twitter, message me there as well. And so with that, we're going to get into our main topic of the week, amateur radio membership. Well, we all know those costs can vary widely depending upon the organization. Now, here are some popular options and their associated costs. The ARRL, $59. If you want, that's for the digital version of the QST. If you want a printed version, it's going to cost you $84. And, they've got youth memberships about $30 or so for those under 21. And of course, they have some lifetime fees that are varied based on age at the time of purchase. And for a guy in his mid-40s, it's around $1,600. And If you're older than that, it gets a little cheaper. If you're a little younger, then you're going to pay a lot more than that, even way over $2,000. So some of the popular ones, QRZ, I think most people pay around that $30 a year for that. You got your annual club dues. It can vary anywhere from $15 to $30 is what I find most of the time. Some as low as 10, some as high as 40 even. But most of the time, average about $15 to $30 a year. You have like the Long Island CW Club, $30 a year. Remote ham radio, something very specific, again, kind of that unique, not necessarily a club, but an organization or something that you can pay a subscription to that is ham radio involved. And that's got about $20 a month plus your airtime, or $99 a year plus your airtime. So that can go all the way up to, I've seen, annual, average rates around $1,500, $1,600 for somebody to be able to use that on a regular basis. So that could get quite expensive pretty quick. The Quarter Century Wireless Association, $25 for a lifetime. I think Ole Miss was about $10 for a lifetime membership. Pretty cheap overall. Patreon, that can vary anywhere from $3 on the low side for one patron to as much as $20 for a subscription for one patron as well. So if you had 2 or 3 patrons you were supporting, obviously that monthly cost can add up as well. And so that can get pretty expensive in that regards. The 3905 Century Club, no fee, but it is a lifetime membership for joining. And like the TAPR, the Tucson Amateur Radio, they do a lot with digital stuff. I'll get into that in just a bit more. But those are just some of them that you can join. I know there's more out there. Those are the popular ones that I found, or maybe I'm familiar with. And so, just as we start to look at some of those, we'll kind of start my running list here. We got $60 a year, basically, call it $59, but $60 a year for amateur radio for ARRL. You got $30 for QRZ, $30 for Long Island CW Club. So with that alone, I'm already up to $120. Now, that's not including my local club. So we'll talk about that, another $135 into that. And I think I got a couple of additional costs here I'll probably throw in as we go through as well for some other additional things. But I'm already up to $135 and haven't really even got my year started with that. So as we start to go into 2025, really start to look at what those different memberships you have and what they actually cost you. You throw it out one in January, you throw another one in April. You might buy something in Dayton and for another another subscription of some sort there, and join another organization at a Hamfest in August. So you don't realize that you've already spent maybe $150, $200 already per in the year for the various memberships. So you can see how it can start to add up, and you don't realize it because you're not doing it all at once. You're doing it a little bit at a time. And so, what are the benefits to these organizations, and how does that, are you really getting the benefit that you're paying for? So, get a little morning cup of coffee here. But, when you join something like the ARRL, you get publications, online resources, training, maybe discounted online ARRL courses. You get the ARRL logbook, which I think everybody kind of gets that, whether you're a member or not. But you have to at least sign in or register with them. And the Radio Society of Great Britain, very similar to the ARRL, was very similar to our cost, about $75 a year for them. I don't know if they have a magazine or not, but they also offer discounted rates. And, with the ARRL, you get, the FCC, Spectrum Defense Fund, things like that. They have the Teachers Institute, which helps, which is all donor funded. But, you also have like the QSL Bureau, which that may be going away. You get the VE testing and licensing with the ARRL. So, there is some benefits that they do. I have a PowerPoint that has like 40 different things what the ARRL does for me. So it's kind of interesting. If you ever want it, I can always share it on my Patreon site. But, those are the kind of things they do. Now, if you get into something like QRZ, you get your subscription upgrade, you get your logbook there. You can add your logbook to the Logbook of the World from QRZ. You get all the lookups of integrating QRZ with some of your digital loggers, and how you can get the information right away from that using the API key, or using just logging out online. Some of the different programs do it different ways, but it's a free registration, but you're gonna have to pay for the membership if you want the additional features. And so I thought it was around $30 a year, but I also have something in my notes here that says it's $39.95 for the XML logbook data. So, and you get advanced logbook features with that. They also apparently have a platinum subscription for about $80 a year. And that includes the XML subscription and more extensive features, such as call sign lookups and profile enhancements. I don't know that I need a profile enhancement in there, but there's also a thing called QRZ-CQ, and that's a free international amateur radio community platform. And basic membership is free, but they do offer a gold membership at $29 a year, which provides additional features like extended log storage, ad-free browsing, and profile customization as well. So some of the things that they might get out of that, local clubs, we'll get into more detail on some of this as well, but many amateur radio operators usually join, local clubs for community training, event participation. Local club fees can vary. And again, somewhere between that $10 and $40, usually $15 to $30. But I think clubs probably find some of the most valuable benefits you can find, including the networking and friendship opportunities, just learning resources, access to events that you couldn't do on your own, like parades or bike rides, things like that. And of course, you get some digital tools for logging and contacting other operators. I know my local club has like a local DX contest club within the club itself. So a nice feature to have that you can, you have to be part of the club to be a part of that, though. As we're talking about clubs, why many hams may avoid organizations. I think this comes with numerous reasons and why, but I'll call it the elephant in the room. I think sometimes amateur radio operators can be true loners, and they like operating independently and want to do what they want to do, and they don't feel any need to belong to a group. Now, others may see the value in joining or not even be aware of what these organizations do to protect our shared hobby. But I think some organizations out there that do more than just ARRL, and I'll get into that in just a second here, but I don't think amateur radio is just about operating your rig in isolation. Most, people find it a gateway to personal enjoyment. They like the technical advancement and playing, and finding a way to make something better. Some people do it for the public service and lasting friendships. And so there's a variety of reasons to join. And I would say that I've gained from all of those of personal enjoyment, technical advancement, public service, and lasting friendships. I've gained all that from being part of a club. And I can appreciate that the most of all of those organizations that I have been a part of. The local club has always been the best resource for me. Now, organizations can play a huge role in ensuring that future generations can enjoy these same opportunities. Without them, who would advocate for us like challenges arise when defending our spectrum defense frequencies or securing privileges? And I'm not saying that ARRL does this always great. They do have some role in it, and which is good. And, I think clubs promote mentorship and build friendship and have projects from antenna building, POTA days at a park, battery box building, community events like parades and bike rides. So there's a lot of things that organizations can do that, again, you can't do on your own. And I think that's huge overall, to just have that at your, at your leisure to be able to use those resources when you can. Now, I think membership in amateur radio organizations is more than just about paying the dues. And it's about being part of a legacy that, many of the most respected, skilled, and dedicated hams in the world are members of these organizations. And I think being a part of these groups can connect you with a wealth of knowledge and camaraderie and shared purpose that will help you, and you can learn a lot from for like, paying $30 a year to be a part of, the Long Island CW Club to learn CW. They're sharing their wealth and knowledge on how to learn that. I'm paying for that, but they also have to pay for their services like Zoom and things that they do the training on. So, those groups have expenses as well that they have to be able to cover. So it makes sense, and I see why. There's not much for free out there any day, any day now or anything nowadays. So, but if you got organizations like the Quarter Century Wireless Association, they continue to emphasize cooperation and goodwill and preserving amateur radio traditions. They, unite against external forces that could threaten frequencies we hold dear. And joining groups like this not only supports their mission, but also aligns you with a network of hams and share your passion and commitment. So if you're having to watch the YouTube this morning of this, it is a running nose morning for some reason. So if I feel a little groggy or something, not taking medication, just it's kind of a little bit of a cold kicking, I think. So apologize for that as well, but a little bit of a dry throat going on as well. So continue sipping on the best coffee in the world here, and we'll talk more about that in just a few minutes here. So clubs, the heart of ham radio community. I think one of the best ways to grow in your ham radio journey is by joining a local or specialty club. I guess I should have made this my point number 3. The heart of the community is the heart of the ham radio community is members, and by joining or being a part of a specialty club, that the club is, again, more than just paying dues to somebody and showing up a couple times a year to a meeting. They're really places to meet other hams, and they are the heart and soul of amateur radio community. They promote mentorship, build friendship, and foster collaboration through exciting, meaningful projects. So what does that really mean? Is for maybe a newcomer coming into a club, they can find an invaluable source of guidance. And experienced hams, often referred to as Elmers or mentors, are always eager to share their knowledge. Now, I know there are clubs and groups out there that call them sad hams, or they, just grumpy old men that don't really want to, you don't know CW, you're not a ham radio operator, type of thing. And I get that. But I think for the most part, a lot of groups out there are willing to share their knowledge with younger and newer hams. And so I think whether you're trying to fine tune your first antenna or set up your station of some sort, learn about digital modes, and, clubs typically provide a safe and supportive environment for you to learn and to ask those questions and really grow your skills. Without my prior club I was with in Tennessee, and I'll, mention them, Stones River Amateur Radio Club, I don't know if I'd be where I would be today. I had some great mentors there, some great Elmers, and I could call up different ones for different things I knew that had skills very specific for what I was asking for, whether it was, putting up my antenna tower, or if it was trying to, string a wire and build an antenna of some sort, if it was something I just had a question about a radio and how to set up my station, and, where does the tuner go in between, the amplifier and the radio, or, where should I put my SWR meter, those sort of things. And if I had a question of how that was being hooked up, I could simply, call them and ask them, and they would be willing to tell me and share that with me. And that was huge. And I found a lot of value in that. And I think we also have to realize that a newer ham coming into a club will bring a fresh perspective. And whether it's, maybe dealing with some more newer technology or some type of innovative idea that could be solving an old problem of some sort. And this exchange of knowledge really benefits everyone in the club, because if you are a newcomer coming in and you want to figure out how to program your HT, somebody in the club probably has the HT already and knows how to do it and share that information with you. And if you are looking to, set up WinLink or something, somebody else in the club might have knowledge around that. So there's you have to find where that resource is, but asking people and knowing people in the local club and becoming friends with them can really make that difference. And, building friendships that last a lifetime. I have certainly done that myself with people from the Stones River Club. And, I don't think that ham radio is just about the equipment, but it's about the people behind the microphone. And the clubs are always fantastic for building these lasting friendships. And whether you're close or you've moved far away, you can maintain those friendships via the radio and chat on a regular basis if you want. You can call them on the phone still ask them for resources if you need questions or have other information you need. But there's something about always working together on a community event or meeting up at a park for like a POTA activation. But beyond ham radio, these relationships often extend into other parts of life, and just calling each other and BSing and having a good time and laughing and maybe, going to dinner together. And you become really close friends and supporting each other both on and off the airwaves. And that makes the hobby even more fun and rewarding. And I really find that there's a lot of value in that for people to be able to build those friendships and have those resources available to them as well at the same time. So there's not enough money in the world to buy that. And unless you're part of a club, you may not have access to that resource or that friendship down the road. And I don't know if I can really explain in words how valuable that is. And we talked about, working together on things like community events or meeting up at a park. But the clubs also typically will have some great hands-on projects. And this is where you can also gain a lot of valuable knowledge and have that benefit of being part of the club by joining, and things you get into like antenna building workshops. Whether you're setting up a station like a new antenna tower, maybe you're building just a new antenna of some sort, or maybe it's a Raspberry Pi project. Clubs will often host different types of build days where members construct everything from simple dipoles to, maybe a beam antenna for radio direction finding. It might be a tape measure antenna. But it's also about learning the science behind it and having somebody help you explain that about each design, how something is put together. So, if you get into battery box building, portable operation is always a huge part of the ham radio, and clubs can help you build a power solution that fits your needs, from solar charging to ruggedized battery boxes. And we did that at my past club. And everyone was a little different, from a Harbor Freight case to an ammo can. And people found a lot of value in that. And the projects were fun and practical. And so people enjoyed that and got friendships out of that, made contacts with other members of the club that maybe they don't really talk to on a regular basis otherwise. And that was value added for the club as well to be able to do that. So, the other thing would be field days and POTA events. I kind of mentioned POTA a few minutes ago, but clubs do a lot of field days. Winter Field Day, which is coming up very soon, January 25th and 26th. And then you got Summer Field Day, or ARRL Field Day. And, members will set portable stations and, maybe, sometimes in outdoors or indoors where it's maybe more comfortable depending on what part of the country you're in. But these events will bring a great mix of operating and socializing and, usually good food as well. So you can't really have a good ham radio event, whether it's a POTA activation or a field day of some sort, without having some sort of great food. And of course, that can always come with friendly competition as well. And probably the last part of the club's benefits would be the community service side of it. So many clubs will support local parades and bike rides and marathons by providing communications for event organizers. And this not only gives hams a chance to practice emergency communication skills, but also demonstrate the value of amateur radio to the wider community. And with that, there's always lots of opportunity for those people who may be participating in that bike rider or community parade to see the amateur radios out there, ask what you're doing, inform them, and find ways to get more people involved in amateur radio that may draw interest from others in the community. And making a difference in the community with these different events like parades and bicycle rides, you aren't just supporting the members of that organization, whatever you're doing, whether it's a city parade or a bike ride of some sort, but you're really giving back to the community. And, these organizations that are organizing a bike ride or parade rely on you for smooth communications and ensuring the safety and success of participants during that event. And that's really huge. And, clubs can also contribute during emergencies and step up to provide communications during a disaster when tradition systems fail. But, that is, again, giving back to the community, being part of that public service. And I don't think you can really give that if you're not part of a local club. So it may just be some self-reflection and your giving that could make a positive impact, because really being part of a club is really being about something bigger than just yourself. And, you're typically a group of people committed to making that positive impact to the community and seeing the value that can be added using amateur radio. Again, that's not something you can do by yourself, sitting in isolation in your basement or your ham shack of some sort. And so I think there's a lot of value that you can get from that, both personally and professionally, and just growing your own personal skills being a part of a club. And again, is that really worth your $15 to $30 a year? I think you will find that value is truly there when you get down to the bottom line. And of all the memberships you can probably pay for, that is the one that you'll find the most. Now, how do you go about finding a club that's right for you? Finding the right club is probably easier than you think. I didn't know this one until I started doing some research, but QRZ.com and ARRL.org both offer directories of clubs by location and interest. So once you find one that might be close to you, you can do like via zip code, whatever, or your city, attend a meeting and see if it's a good fit. I think clubs usually host on a variety of weekdays or, Saturday mornings, Saturday afternoons, and see if it's a good fit. Now, not every club will be a great fit for everyone, but I would say most clubs are probably welcoming to new members, and they're always excited to share their passion for the hobby and talk about, hey, I just got my license and, glad to help set you up. And there's somebody there that will probably more than likely be willing to help you. Now, I've had a situation where someone walked in the club meeting once late, and they literally walked out before the club meeting was over. They sent me an email and said, I didn't find your club to be very friendly. Well, they came in late. We were in the middle of the meeting, and they walked out before the end of the day. So how was anyone really supposed to greet them at that point? I guess they were expecting a grand entrance when they walked in, that everyone would stand up and clap to them. I don't know. But it was, a very odd email I had to deal with as a club president. But, I don't think you'll find those type of situations very often. Again, there may be a couple out there, the Grumpy Old Men Club that you might find. But for the most part, most clubs are going to be very open-ended to welcoming you into their hobby and being a beautiful part of amateur radio. And I think, they are the beating heart, clubs are, of amateur radio overall. They really bring people together and get to share knowledge and create opportunities for personal growth and technical advancement. And again, you have that lasting friendship. So if you haven't joined a club yet, what are you waiting for? 2025 is around the corner, and I hope that you will take the time to research and look at being a part of a club, I think you'll be glad you did. And that is my challenge to you for 2025, is to find a club and get involved and be a part of that. Now, on to some of these other organizations. I don't think any discussion about amateur radio organizations would be complete without mentioning the ARRL. It is the oldest and most prominent ham radio organization in the United States. And I would say their ARRL does do very much for hams. I'm sure some would disagree with this, and with the increasing cost and stuff that they implemented in 2024, that, maybe they feel like they're doing even less because maybe even the QSL Bureau is going away and things like that. And I'm not saying they're perfect, but they are the only national representation that we have. It's kind of like the NRA. What, other gun advocacy group can you really join? I'm not familiar with any. And, the ARRL, from the government advocacy and emergency communications, they do deal with a little bit of areas, managing licensing. And I have operating the national traffic system in here. I don't really know I don't know how much they really do with that, and if that's really still very active. Call me out if I'm wrong. Maybe it's a very active system still. But, ARRL has a lot of resources and support that are not used, like Ham Aid, and they have a ton of resources of radios and stuff sitting there that aren't being used. And, those things can have an impact on the community if they were to be used a lot more. And so it's getting with section managers and things like that to make those things available for you as a member to be able to have access to. So, again, there is a lot of interest in, ham radio overall. And I think ham radio is a very diverse, as much as the operators behind the microphones typically. And, all these organizations have a lot of different interests. And there's a lot of them out there for ham radio. I'm going to just name a few here. And one of them you may not be very familiar with. I think Josh, Ham Radio Crash Course, covered something on this a couple of years ago, and I've heard a couple podcasts talk about it. But Handy Hams, they support hams with disabilities and providing resources to ensure accessibility. So, if you have a disability or something, there's a resource for you to be able to go out and use Handy Hams, and you can learn more at handyham.org. AMSAT is another one for those who want to communicate with via satellite. Yes, you can talk to, astronauts on the ISS and others across the country using satellites. And you can check them out at amsat.org. That's another $30 a year for me. So now we're up to 165. So we got that thrown in there for me. And then there's the Pioneers in Digital Communication, TAPR, at Tucson Amateur Radio. I don't remember their exact name. But, they do a lot with digital modes and things like that. So you can visit tapr.org. And, of course, there's always contesting and DXing and building satellites. These groups provide forums to connect, share tips, and push the boundaries of what's possible in amateur radio. So my sixth point I've made here, a final word per se, a summary, is, in my opinion, one of the greatest things about amateur radio is the community aspect of it. And whether you're being a part of the community of the Ham Radio Guy podcast, you're part of the community of a local club, you're, a part of a community of whatever other organization you want to be a part of, there's always access to resources for whether you're shooting up or troubleshooting a tricky setup, chasing a rare DX, or just volunteering during a disaster. And being a part of a group makes that journey richer and more meaningful. Especially think about the clubs and individuals that stepped up during Hurricane Helene and Milton. And that was huge in those parts of the country in the Southeast there when they really needed those resources. And again, there was a lot of value found during that time with those guys that were able to step up and help out their either local neighbors or just, help out the community in a greater, wider area during that time. My advice would be to find that organization or club that resonates with you best. Get involved and make those connections. Again, that's my challenge to you in 2025. And not only will it make you a better operator, but it'll also ensure that amateur radio thrives for generations to come. You can share your knowledge and give back to maybe another newer ham that is coming in as well to the hobby. And you might be able to share your knowledge and experience with them that you've gained from other Elmers or mentors that have helped you in your amateur radio career. And really, I always think about this podcast is that I'm finding a way to give back through my radio podcast here to help other people. And I hope that you will find value in that and that I'm giving you back knowledge and sharing information that you may not be aware of or familiar with otherwise. And hearing those stories and contests like we had talked about DX Marathon. And so in one of my previous episodes here. And so, always wanting to share knowledge and give information back to you guys. And I hope that, again, that you do find value in that. And I would appreciate it for all your comments, signing up for newsletter, signing up for Patreon, whatever way you find that there's value in this, and being part of the Ham Radio Guy community is value added for you. So that's it for this episode of the Ham Radio Guy. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with your fellow hams. And if you're part of a club or organization you think deserves a shout out, send me a message. I'd love to feature them, maybe in an upcoming episode. And so hope to hear you on the air. Looking for all things ham radio related? Visit the Ham Radio Guy. Visit the website at patreon.com/the Ham Radio Guy for more informative content, product reviews, and exciting blog posts. Join the conversation in your favorite podcast platform to stay up to date with the latest trends and news in the ham radio world. Connect with us on Twitter at the Ham Radio Guy for even more updates and engaging interactions. Don't miss out on the fun and knowledge sharing. Subscribe to the Ham Radio Guy today. Well, we've got one more item of business here to take care of, and it's checking out the ARRL Hamfest schedule page for local Hamfest near you. The next one I will be at that I'm familiar with, February 7th to the 9th, 2025, Orlando Hamcation, ARRL Southeastern Division Convention in Orlando, Florida. Hope to see you there. I will be there myself for that time. In fact, I need to get some tickets bought for that. So good reminder for myself to think about that. Hope this week's episode taught you something new and enhance your ham radio operations. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me on Twitter through your podcast platform or by email at w0met@thehamradioguy.com. As always, this is your ham radio buddy in the chair and on the air, the Ham Radio Guy. I say 73.